Welcome to LSAT Demon Daily. I'm Josh Mansfield. I am a teacher here at the Demon. Joining me today, I have Jack, who is a Demon student and now former Demon student, thanks to the fact that he was able to crush it on the LSAT, getting a score of a 172. Jack, congratulations. It must have been amazing to see that score result come in when you checked after the April exam.
Oh, yeah, it was a relief. Thank you for having me, Josh, by the way. And yeah, no, it was a long road, long time coming, and it really, seeing that on the dashboard, it kind of, yeah, it was a weird feeling because it was like, oh, it could be over. Like
Yeah.
maybe I might go back and do another, but I could comfortably say that I wouldn't necessarily need to take another test if I don't really, really want to.
Right.
So it was very much a relief financially, emotionally, physically, even in a way, mentally, every aspect of life. It was a relief for.
Well, I'm excited to jump into it, and I'll definitely have some follow-ups to that point. But I want to start by tell me a little bit about kind of that journey of where did you start with the LSAT, and how did you get to that 172?
So it kind of started my last year of college. And a little bit before that, I was always thinking of routes, and I went to school in the Bay Area. I went to Berkeley, so it was just very tech heavy. I was an econ undergrad, so a lot of my colleagues and classmates and teammates were all either going tech sales or real estate or, I don't know, financial analysts at some big, consultancies. It was just like the traditional pipeline, and I wasn't really in tune with that. I had an offer at this tech firm in the Bay. And I'm from New York, so I like the Bay too, but New York is where I kind of want to be. So I was thinking about options and routes, and I was always a good student, never really a great student. And part of that was just I was pulled in many different directions. So I was a college athlete. I had social. I was trying to have a social life. I was trying to have fun. Big Pac-12 school at the time.
Yeah. What sport were you playing while you were in college?
I played rugby at Cal, so I was
okay.
It was pretty demanding. It's not very well, it's not a big program at most colleges, but we did have full varsity status. We had weight room, locker rooms, the whole nine, whole own field, like very rigid schedule, very structured schedule.
It was
pretty intense.
D1 athlete.
Yeah, I see BYU. I see you have the Brigham Young.
Yeah, also I know they've got
BYU.
a rugby program too.
So they were huge rivals for us back in the day.
Yeah.
Before I got there, 2010s, early from the mid to late 2000s, and then early 2010s. So big rivalry there.
Cool.
Some cool games you can check out. But yeah, it was just a very demanding academic and athletic and social life. So it's just I committed to my grades, but I never focused fully on it. So when I get to my last year of college, I'm thinking, what route do I want to go? And I had a tech sales job lined up. But I was also kind of at that fringe where I could go play professionally after the fact. So moving into our apartment, these three girls lived below us, and we see them moving in one day, and we just we see like Berkeley Law on their shirts, and we just start kicking it with them. Like they become our friends. Like we just hang out with them because we're fifth years at this point, kind of like post grad, but not really, and they're obviously post grad. So I just started asking questions like, how did you get here? Why law? And then I kind of realized oh, maybe this could be something that I want to do. So it was very serendipitous, but I'm a good arguer. I talk a lot. I'm a decent enough writer to where I can, logically interpret or logically follow through from one sentence to the next. And that was always a very good strength of mine in school, very big strength of mine in school. And yeah, I started. She one of the girls there. She referred me to I have it right there. It's the LSAT Trainer by Mike Kim, and I just was loosely going through it. Not really going through it like the Demon tells you to do it, but they were trying to teach you all these rules and what to do and when to do it. And I had some experience, but I wouldn't really call it experience. So that's why I say my diagnostic's not technically cold. It's like a lukewarm diagnostic.
And what was that diagnostic?
That was a 141 in November of 2023.
Okay. And so after doing this book, you get this 141.
Yes.
Almost 18 months ago now at this point, yeah?
So this was 2021, fall 2021. I initially started it. So this is my
Okay.
last year of college. This was
Okay.
years later. So then I put it down. I go do the professional rugby route. I kind of do that for 2-3 years. And then in my second to last year, in between seasons, that's when I picked it back up. So I picked it back up thinking like, okay, I have a lot of time to study. All I'm doing basically is training, working some part-time jobs, and studying. So that I made that basically a full-time rotation of a job. So it ended up being like a 10, 12 hour day, but it was multiple different things, and I was keeping my time very busy. So, you know, pissed me off. I got a 141. I'm like, okay, I know I'm better than this. Like I know I can do better than this. And I'm reaching out to my friend even before. Sorry, excuse me. I'm gonna backtrack a little bit. So I'm texting my friend after, I'm in this job I don't really like, and I'm like, okay. And then I remembered, oh, I had this whole experience thinking about law school, and it kind of kicked back into my mind, and I started doing some more research about where to go, how to get there, like what to do. I reached out to one of my friends who I knew was kind of doing in that process. He was at forget where he was undergrad. Might have been Delaware, but he was in that process, and we were very good friends in high school. And he had some interesting issue with his brain, and he had to get surgery, and it was a whole thing. So he ended up graduating a little later, but he was a demon advocate, like staunch demon advocate. He put me on right away. Literally, he's my like guiding savior for this whole process. Legitimately, like step by step, how to do it, what to do, and it was essentially kind of mirroring what to do from the demon's perspective, but in a way that he was able to comprehend and then relay. So it was a very, very grateful for him. And his name's Pat Dunn. I'm gonna shout him out. Shout out Pat. He's at Seton Hall with a stipend actually now. So he followed the demon's advice. He really got it going. And he kind of was that. I'd text him if I was ever getting frustrated or if I ever had a success. He was the guy I'd reach out to. So yeah, I mean, and then he said demon. So I said, all right, whatever. Got it. Got the free version, did the test, and kind of the rest was long road, like 141. And then I took another one. I took a diagnostic about 2 weeks after I took this test. And it's just, I had a whole notebook. I'm going to go pick up some notebooks that I have. I filled 4 full notebooks of just like notes.
Okay.
And I know at first it was very in depth, and it was like, got this LR question wrong. Why did I think it was this? And I would write it out, and I realized like, I'm just wasting my time. I'm not getting enough reps. So that was the first stage. So I'd say that would be like November to January. Starting in January, I took another test. I'm like, okay, new year, new me. I got like a 161.
Wow.
I was like, oh shit.
Okay.
Like, okay.
Yeah.
Like I got a new practice test. All right. Now it's
So
now
let me pause right there real fast. Sorry to interrupt
absolutely.
you.
Yeah. No, don't.
We've got
all you.
November to January. You've got a 20-point jump. Was it something? What do you attribute like that biggest switch to in terms of that score difference? Was it just how detailed you were reviewing those questions?
It was. I was terrified of taking the time section, honestly, because I was very much. I don't want to see like a -9 or a -10. So I think it was getting over the hump of that. You're going to screw up. You're not going to do well. Own it, embrace it, just do as much as you can do. And it took me a long time for me to really dig into that. You're not racing against the clock. You're racing against yourself essentially. It's like you're just doing as much as you can do.
Mm-hmm.
And as you do as you get better at the test, you'll be able to do more.
Yeah.
So it was breaking that mental barrier that got me from like a 141 to a 160. These are 161 or 162. I forget which one it was, but it was at least a 20-point jump.
Okay.
So then January hits, and I'm kind of a free agent at this point. Like I'm not signed with a team, and I'm like frustrated at life. Had a breakup, mad at the world, just like kind of locked in my own shell.
Sounds like a movie should be coming out soon, right? Like a Hallmark movie. Like
maybe.
Professional rugby player not signed by a team has a breakup. Like I'm expecting this around Thanksgiving time, right?
Yeah, production's gonna be tough, so expect it maybe Thanksgiving 27. But
okay, all right.
That's time. We got to get a cast out. Yeah, But,
yeah.
So it was interesting. It was like I got a call randomly. I'm like, I would like in between, like at work, I would just kind of do. I was a personal trainer at Equinox, so I would like kind of just do studying in between sessions out there. So like long days, it was about like an hour train ride to me because I'm in Queens, and it was in Brooklyn Heights, so it's kind of a deep train ride. So I was just long train ride. It's like 8 p.m. I've been there since 6 in the morning, studying in between. I'm just like so upset. And I get like a call that day, like that night. I'm like walking through Union Square because I get the call and like walk out of the train. So I get the call. This guy, he's like, "Hey, we're starting up this new team." Very like honestly, like one of the better things to happen to me in that span. It was very lucky, very serendipitous. So I basically was like, "Yeah, let's do it. Like I'm down, I'm coming." So I shipped out 2 weeks later, and now I'm in this schedule where I have a full day of training, and it's brutal training, and it's just because it's preseason and it's contact conditioning. It's I don't know if you know how much you know about the game, but it's a hybrid football and soccer.
Mm-hmm.
So you get the physicality of football with all the endurance of and continuity of soccer. So it's just brutal training to get back into shape, physically, mentally, again, emotionally. It's just a drain because you're now a commodity. Essentially, you're not necessarily a player on a team playing for the love of your sport and playing for your university or like your guys around you. You're playing for a contract too. Some guys are feeding their kids. It's like
Right. Right.
So it's a different ball game, but I'd have time after practices would end, like trainings would end. So it'd be wake up 7:30, finish by 5 p.m. I would say, and then I'd go home, eat, shower, study for like an hour, hour and a half, and that's when I really started to get into the whole. All you need is 1 hour of quality time, and they kept on. I loved the podcast. Like I would listen to podcasts all the time, but it was just like in one ear, one out the other. Yeah, totally. Yeah, 1 hour of good study. Yeah, for sure, dude. For sure, Ben. So then, it's like I feel like a kid. Like you have to say it 10 times to get it. Like even a couple months before I took the April test, I even wrote into the Demon. I was like, "What the fuck?" Like I keep getting this incredibly crazy amount of range, and Ben literally just called me out on the podcast because I didn't I wasn't. He was like, "Dude, you're just like you're not understanding enough." So then I wrote it down. I wrote it down, and I have it like I had it like pinned. I had it taped up next to my wall. It was like one word, one sentence, one passage at a time. The LSAT is easy. That's the exact phrasing.
Yep.
And yeah, my score just shot up. I hit at that point I was taking practice tests like every week, sections if in between those practice tests because I fully at that point I was just like I don't care about the score as long as I can learn something new and really understand what they're saying on this page. And got a 174 like a month before the test. I was like, oh, okay. I just kind of broke that mental plane, that consciousness barrier where now it's possible. Like now it's not just a dream. Like I can do this. And my range was I was probably range bound between 167 and 174. So I hit the upper medium of my range on the test. But I guess it all kind of came together. I remember I took it twice. I got a 163 and then a 165 and then a 172 official. So like that, those were my three officials. So each time I remember taking it and being like, fuck, like I don't think I did. I think I might have rushed this, or I had a bad start on the first one, bad start on the second one, and then this third one I coasted right through it. And it wasn't even just coasting; it was just muscle memory and it was just on, and it was just I hit a flow state. Like I hit a flow state.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of how I liken it into a sports context. And it was interesting. I didn't want to say I did well.
Yeah. You took 3 official times. Okay.
3 official times.
Good.
So yeah, and I mean I could take it a couple other times, but I've been pretty. Ever since I got that test back, I've been all right. I'm taking a break. So maybe I'll do it again, but
Yeah.
Well,
And
I don't know.
I think
it's kind of hard to pick that up.
You mentioned the idea. You said you hit the upper end of your band, right? If your average is 169, 172, or 170, 162 or 172 is on the upper end of that range. But I think that you kind of bury the lead in that you took it 3 times. And that's why we recommend that you take and use your attempts when you're ready, right?
Definitely.
Because then if you underperform, you get those high 160s. Okay, great. Yeah, that's an expected outcome as well. But then you have one that you hit your flow state, you get your upper end, and that variance is something that you get to take advantage of, right? And it's something
Definitely.
that you just have some tests that break your way. And when that happens, the ball bounces lucky sometimes, and you get a couple points above where your average is. And that's a big perk of that as well.
Yeah, I was an econ major, so we had a lot of stat econometrics, like the whole,
Yeah.
just statistics in general. And I was I was able to get that part of it, but it was, for me, it was the part that was just slow the fuck down, just slow down, like just slow down. You don't need to, you need to understand what's going on. And even now when I'm reading for fun, I'm able to, I'm slowing down to speed up essentially. And I'm
Mhm.
retaining more information because I'm really trying to dig at what they're saying, not just what's written on the page. And
Yeah.
it's now hit other facets of my life, and it's not just a test now. It's real life, and I it's not. It was. I'm forever grateful to Ben and Nathan for like really drilling that in. That this is you know this is it's not just a test. It's the
Uh,
skills for real life, and I'm very grateful for
Absolutely.
that.
Well, skills for law school and skills for legal practice. That's something
Absolutely,
that I tell my students all the time. You know, we're practicing reading comprehension because that's how you're gonna have to read real, and like for law schools, reading it for those details. And so why not? Why
definitely,
not develop those skills and practice it now?
yeah.
The answer may be the one that you already gave, but I'm curious to know what you consider the best piece of advice or the advice that resonated with you most throughout your study period. It may have been that, Ben's on the podcast, but I wasn't sure if there was another one that stuck out to you.
I mean, it's all just kind of what I said earlier. It's just understand what's on the page, and
Mm-hmm.
that's the most. If you can only do 9 questions out of a 25 question section, but you understand everything that's written in those 9 LR passage or questions, then you're golden. And
Yeah.
that's just the platform to build on. And it's, you don't take it as, oh, I got a -16 because I only got 9 correct. No, you got 100%. You just didn't. You weren't able to attempt them yet. So I think it. I know I'm saying this now, and the same thing's going to happen to somebody else who hears this podcast. Potentially, it's going to be like, oh yeah, whatever, sure, dude, and then they're going to go try to do 20 questions in this. But I think once it clicks, it clicks, and like for me, it
Mm-hmm.
clicked. It's 15 months down the line, 14 months, 12 months. But that's the thing, you just cannot give up, and that's another thing that's another piece of advice that they kept on harping on was
Mm-hmm.
don't don't let a wall break you down. Like you have to break through that wall, and you can't just let stagnation or a plateau just
Mm-hmm.
um, disrupt your momentum, and you really just got to keep going. I guess the definition of a plateau is you don't have momentum, but you really got to build that momentum back up. You just got to keep going,
Yeah.
find momentum. Yeah.
So you settle in. You recognize the hour a day actually is enough to succeed. What were you
Yeah.
doing with your hour a day?
Just gonna just feel like or mix of drilling and sections, it's just like, and then
Yeah.
like, but I mean, I mean, at some point too, it's also you have to mix in a practice test every once in a while. It doesn't have to be
Yeah.
like every week or every couple of
Yeah.
days. Like I remember hearing one person on this podcast be like, "Yeah, I took a practice test every 2 days," and I was just like, "Dude, how did you not run out of practice tests? Like that
Yeah.
stresses me out." But I mean, it's cliche. It's been said over and over, but it's not. It's you're doing drilling, but you could do 5 questions of drilling. If you get 4 right and 1 wrong, I would spend a, a good 10 minutes, 15 minutes sometimes understanding why I got it wrong, blind reviewing it. At first it was, writing
Right. The notebooks.
why I think I got it wrong. But then I was able to formulate that in my mind, and I didn't have to like write it down. I guess that was also just something that happens as you get more comfortable with the test and language and the wording, etc.
Mm-hmm.
But it's time section, boom, take the section, review it right away. Don't let just be like, oh, I'll just throw it in the review inbox. I would review it right there. It got to a point where if I got below like 90% accuracy, I would do a full blind review. But that would take another day to do that, or
Mm-hmm.
I would come back to it later in the day. But time section, review it. Drilling, do 10 questions, review it. That's the secret sauce, is understanding what they're doing, understanding patterns, trends. But not even that, it's beyond trends. It's like you have to understand what they're saying. You can understand a pattern, but if you don't know what they're saying, you can't recognize that pattern. So it's symbiotic.
During that review process, we have a couple of resources. You obviously have the written and video explanations. We have the ask button. Then you got lessons. What were those kind of resources did you find the most helpful in that review process?
I didn't utilize. the lessons as much as I feel like I should have, but
I mean, 170, so I don't know if anyone's going to fault you for that.
yeah, I feel like I would have gotten more earlier out of
Sure.
it, but I was just very much, I need questions, questions, questions. But
Hmm.
I used the ask button a lot. I'd always watch the videos. Like if I didn't, I'd read the explanation first. And if I really got the explanation and I didn't go onto the videos, but if the explanation kind of confused me or if I wasn't following, I'd go to the videos. Trick, I'd put it on 1.5 speed just to optimize my time a little bit. And
Uh-huh.
if I wasn't getting it on 1.5, I'd bump it back down to 1. But we're busy people. Like
We're
we
busy.
got things to do.
I don't know if I listen to anything at normal speed anymore.
Right? Yeah. Like I
Audiobooks,
had
podcasts, everything.
there's a microeconomics course I took at Cal that was it was one of the you have to get above a certain grade point average in the
Sure.
prereqs to get into the actual major, and it was the season, so like it was we actually competed for the national championship that year, so like I was not locked into school that semester, so to speak.
Yeah.
But that semester for finals week, I watched like it was like 27 lecture videos on double speed, and I filled like 2 notebooks. We had what's called dead week, where it's a week without classes.
Mhm.
It's just a preparation week before
Yep.
finals. So yeah, but again, and then the ask button, and this is a formal apology for any to any of you ask button people who I might have given some attitude to, trying to argue why I might have been right. But honestly, like after I'd try to argue maybe why this is right or like why I don't see why this is wrong or whatever. Then they'd make a great reply, and then it'd be like, ah, shit, you're right. I see it now. So
Did
this is
you
like a formal apology.
did you ever win? Did the ask button writer ever go, "Oh crap, I missed that. You're right, my bad."
It was more like, oh, I could totally see where you're coming from.
Uh-huh.
But then it's like it was probably like it happened a couple times. It would be like a weird, like convoluted question where a singular like comma or a singular, I misread the way the word was used. So like, how bad example, but like there, and there.
Sure.
Right. No, I'm not.
Yeah.
You know what
The
I mean?
hypothetical. Yeah.
It was like the way that word was used in conjunction with a comma or a semicolon, and I just missed that, and I interpreted the other way. Then they'd be like, yeah, but this, and they'd be like, oh, okay, I see that now. Okay, and now I know what you mean. So,
Cool.
but
Very good.
yeah, ask button. I'd recommend reading the responses, see if you can get it yourself, and then if you can't, going back into it with the video. But usually it would be very helpful. So.
Anything that you wish that you had done differently about your study journey and how you got to your LSAT score?
I don't see, that's the thing. I don't know if I could do anything differently realistically,
Sure.
because like the result was a part of the process. And I mean, obviously if I could have that mentality of slow down to speed up and have it click a little sooner, that's the only thing I would have done differently. And overcoming that fear of getting a bad section back, because that really like inhibited me for the first like 6-7 months. I'm like not afraid of failure, but like I was afraid of disappointing myself. So
Sure.
overcoming that fear of that would be
Yeah.
a big
Well,
one.
and I'll be honest. I mean, we have a lot of students who, A-type. They're driven. They're successful in other elements. And so seeing those kind of underperformances of where they
Yeah.
want to be in their abilities can be difficult for students who have always succeeded at things in life. And so no, it's something that it's more common than you think actually. So are you
Yeah.
playing professional rugby right now? I'm not sure
No.
what the rugby season is. So
No, it's spring right now. No.
Spring right
I there was a point where it just wasn't really fun for me anymore, and my
Okay.
body hurt all the time, and I mean, obviously long-term brain damage. Like, I think I got out pretty unscathed. I never broke a bone, never broke a nose, never had any surgeries that had to do with the game. It was always like something outside. I've had my fair share of bumps and bruises and had a
Sure.
concussion or two, but I got out unscathed, and I was like, you know what? I think I'm done with this. Like, I think I'm set. I think it's time to really dig more into this process. And then so for starting in, I'd say, October, November,
Hmm.
I wasn't with a team. I hadn't gotten back. I hadn't gotten signed with a team, and it was like, all right, how much passion do I have for this? How much do I really want to go and do a crazy lower body leg day and then go run and then do skills? Like, it doesn't pay very well in the U.S., as you can tell. Like, nobody gives a shit. So like it was a passion project for me, and like I feel like my contribution to the game, if at all, would be after the fact.
Yeah.
And I'm okay. I was very much content with just putting it down, and so I ended up out coaching. So part of what I was doing in the meantime was working at Equinox again, and this time a little closer in Williamsburg instead of Brooklyn Heights. But put it down, started coaching, was working there, studying, and then just filled my time that way. So I was very busy, but I wasn't very, it was just kind of, I was biding my time. I'm fortunate enough to be able to bide my time. Living at home in Queens, it's like, okay, I don't have to pay the New York City rent, and I get all the perks of being in New York City. So it's, it worked out. It worked out well because I was able to really take my time and not rush into a score or a school that I wanted to go to. There was a point where I had like a 165 and I was like, I hate this. I hate where I'm at. I'm just going to apply to start. I was thinking to myself, like, I'm just going to start applying to schools and see what happens. And I think I'm very grateful I didn't. And I'm grateful I really took that advice. That's also some of the best advice is do it on your own time. Everybody's path is different. Everybody's timing is different. And what's a couple of years in a 30-year career is another
that's
famous
right.
Ben and Nathan saying. So
Yeah. For and it's so interesting because if if you think about it, right? So we were talking. Nathan and Ben did a show on the Thinking LSAT that they talked about income to debt ratios, right? And some of these
right,
schools, median debt for these students is like 160, 170, $180,000. If I said,
crazy.
hey, do you want to take a year off and make $150,000? You'd say, oh, sure, that sounds great. And then you say, okay, do you want to take a year off to study for the LSAT? And it's like, I can't afford to take a gap year. And it's like,
And it's the opportunity cost that I was very much
yeah,
in tune to, because again, economics background. It's like, okay,
right,
you're saving the money in the long run by
right.
sacrificing some money in the short run, and it's
Oh,
that's another big thing. Calculate the opportunity cost of getting a 165 as opposed to, in my case, a 172. It's
mm-hmm.
a couple, it's a few tens of thousands of dollars in potential scholarship money, or even if say you don't even get the scholarship money, but you do get into one of those elite schools, you
Right.
have a better path to making a lot more significant amount of money. And
Yeah.
I know that's a motivator for a lot of people, and it's a very important aspect to this career and this field.
Plan then is to apply in this coming fall to start school in
Yes, it is.
2026.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, it seems like you're in a good shape. Jack, thanks so much for joining us today and telling your story.
Josh, thanks for having me.
Yeah, this was a lot of fun,
Thanks for
and
having me.
I will say I think I also love listening to him. I think you're probably the first professional rugby player we've had on the program. So
Hey, that's cool to hear.
I
I mean, it's not very common.
It's not.
It's not very common.
So
Yeah, it's not. But hey,
makes
it was fun, and it was a niche thing that I could talk about pretty
yeah
easily. So it was interesting. It
makes
was
for
an
a great
interesting
story.
experience.
Well, congratulations, Jack.
Thanks,
If
Josh.
any of you listening want to tell your success story, send in an email to daily@lsatdemon.com. Otherwise, thanks for listening.